It's Revelations. And I stood upon the sand of the sea, and I saw a beast rise up out of the sea, having 7 heads and 10 horns, and upon his horns 10 crowns, and upon his heads the name of blasphemy. And I saw one of his heads as it was wounded to death, and his deadly wound was healed, and all the world marveled after the beast.
I seen the beast come out to sea, the papacy, the prophecy of the Vatican's democracy, of independence as a separate colony, signed and agreed through the Lateran's Treaty. In 1929, all things came in a line, the beginning of 7 kings and the 8th time. The first beast rules the Vatican through perilous times, and the second beast improves the Vatican's design. And the third beast begins to prosper in times, and the fourth and the fifth beast begin to boost in pride. Now all of these 5 beasts has been falling behind, and the 6th beast who wounded was healed double of John. And the 7th beast Benedict shall rule for a short time, and the 8th is the beast who will go into prediction. Through the Pope, the dragon spoke. 3 forks came out of his mouth and quote, Father, Son, and Holy Ghost. Blasphemy against the heavenly host, had power to go to war with those who oppose against the image that rose, that controls the 4 corners of the globe, through the empire Rome, with the 7 hills she sit on.
And I beheld another beast coming out of the earth, and he had 10 horns like a lamb, and he spoke as a dragon, and he exercised all the powers of the first beast before him, and caused the earth and them which dwell thereon to worship the first beast, whose deadly wound was healed.
I seen the beast come out the earth, with 2 horns and they stayed in church, the prophecy of America's birth. This beast exercised all powers of the first, which was the fall of the Roman church, which has been healed from its curse, which was nurtured and nursed by the Catholic Church. Christianity, the Antichrist religion emerged. Worshipping pagan gods our forefathers never served. The false bishops and false ministers preached the word. On the forehead, abomination of the earth was read. Mystery Babylon, a great whore has been bred. Titled the Great Whore because the church appeared religious, but look inside their hearts and our fornication was in it. Worshipping the beast image fashioned by the Catholics, tradition handed down from the Pope to the Baptists. Who was he to make war with the beast, who number and name is 660? He called the rich and the poor, the free and the born, to receive a mark in your forehead or in your right arm, that no man could buy or sell, creating a living hell. Scott chemtrails descending to your nostrils, affecting your red blood cells until your immune system fails. Chemical warfare out here is real.
And I saw heaven open, and beheld a white horse, and he that sat upon it was called Faithful and True, and in righteousness he doth judge and make war.
The 7th seal revealed, the earthquake, lightning pealed, darkness covered land and field. At the 6th hour, high noon, there came an eclipse, celestial ships, the size of the continents, for all eyes to see and bear witness to the coming. Panic-stricken people running, screaming, desolation is coming. Unidentified flying objects, identified flying over the projects. It was 70 ships, 10 for each continent, stationed over the capitals of each government. In the sequence, the armies of nations went in defense. Warships and tanks cover land and water banks. The 4-headed beast united under one alliance. The dreadful dragon became a dreadful giant. But he who sat on the throne, whose eyes was of a flame of fire and skin of copper tone, a blood-red garment he had on, with fearful features to look upon, with a look ready to get it on, and out of his mouth came a sharp sword, like a flash of lightning struck Rome like an asteroid, and the Vatican was destroyed, and all the beasts get employed, and the smoke went up in flames, became a formless void. It's Revelations.
And the devil that deceived them were cast into the lake of fire and brimstone, where the beast and the false prophets are, and shall be tormented day and night forever and ever. Vibes, family. Went down memory lane for a hot second. Let's run the rhythm, family. Yes, family. You know we are for vibes, yes? I turn it off now. It's a fun cut, vibes. Touch phones on the one too. You know how we do. It's the vibes. Yes, family. You see what the topic is, yo. Is the biblical God true or false? You know we still on the next of these gods. You know what I'm saying? So that's the next question. Is the biblical God true or false? Peace to the chat chiming in. Who in the chat? I see you. Abba, I see you. Jawa, Yeshua, I see you. Dominica, I see you. Bronze Yogi, Christos. Yeah. Who else I go out inside these pods? Kayla in the building, I see you, sister. Large up yourself, big up yourself, because it survives. Peace to the righteous God, Malachi Maccabee tapping in. Yeah. It's a little freestyle vibe, you know. Anybody want to hop on? You know what I mean? Because this is a question. Is the biblical God true or false? This is more like an open discussion, you know. You know what our take on it is. But the thing is this. We just basically been telling y'all that the biblical God is not the creator. But there is a God. A rightful ruler of heaven and earth. Who do sit on the throne. And presides over mortals and angels belonging to this planet. So there is a God structure. We just deny that this God structure, according to the Bible, is creator. That's the difference between us and everybody else. Everybody else taking this biblical God to be the creator. Now, I think we have made it clear that the biblical God is not the creator, but now the next question need to be asked. Is the biblical God a true God or a false God? Because if the biblical God is a true God, then, you know, we could give him his praise and props. Not praise, but his props. Props meaning what? If he's true, that means he has to identify with the creator. The biblical God cannot be sitting on a throne talking about he the creator. But if that biblical God is sitting on the throne and giving praise to the creator, that's the difference. It's a big difference. So now the question is there any verses in the Bible where we could show God giving honor and praise to the creator? For example, right? I speak, right? Just for an example, like, let me show you how the Owaspi reads. It's a couple of verses from the Owaspi, just show you how it reads. So you can identify the difference between a self-proclaimed God and a God professing the creator. It's a difference. And that really summons up and determines if you're true or false, just with that alone. Right, this is the book of Satanti, son of Jehovah, right? When they say son of Jehovah, everybody, every man and woman, male or female, is a son and daughter of the creator in the eyes of the creator. Not in the eyes of men, because in the eyes of men, niggas, I had a couple people ask, oh, Jehovah got sons like he laid down with women and made children. But as a creator, you are a father and mother to your creation. So in the Owaspi, Jehovah the creator looks at us as sons and daughters. In the beginning of the inhabitation of the earth, the angels of heaven assembled in Horeb, a heavenly plateau resting on the earth. Now notice, the angels of heaven assembled. Now you remember when I was telling you that the biblical God is an angel, and this biblical God is the same is an angel that came to Moses on Mount Sinai. So if you understand the title and ranks of angels, you would easily understand that the God that came to Moses was indeed an angel. God is an angel. It's just a title bestowed on an angel, the same way king is a title bestowed on a man. So now, in the beginning of the Owaspi, at the inhabitation of man, the angels of heaven assembled in Horeb, which is a heavenly plateau resting over the continent of Pan, which was submerged 25,000 years ago. And it states, the archangel Setantes was the wisest of them all. And he said to them, now it's interesting because in the Bible, you have the serpent being the most subtle of them all. So you can see where these false gods kind of tallied some of the original tales to create their own false tale account in the process of subjugating the minds of mortals. So Setantes, the archangel, it states, behold, we have come from distant heavens by the voice of Jehovah, who came to partake of the glory of the red star of the earth. Jehovah said to us, come and enjoy the new world I have created, partake of all its fruit, except the tree of knowledge, which is the fountain of life. Do not partake of this, lest ye die. Now, that sounds familiar too, right? Sounds like when God was telling Adam not to partake of the tree of knowledge, the tree of good and evil, right? When the Owaspi, you have a similar tale where the angels came down to the earth under the authority of the archangel Setantes to enjoy the earth, to explore the earth. And keep in mind, a lot of these who came with Setantes were angels who died in infancy, right? And it was to them particularly where it states, partake of all the fruit except the tree of knowledge, which is the fountain of life, meaning your reproductive organs. Basically saying don't interbreed with man on this earth. That's what the rule was. That's what the law was. That's what the commandment was given by Creator through Setantes to tell his host. And look, but the voice of the earth spoke to us, saying, partake, for indeed mine is the tree of everlasting life. So when it says partake of the earth, meaning the flesh, lower self, the desires of your body, lust. So the angels became lustful to man and woman on the earth. Now keep in mind, of course, we went over this millions of times, that when the angels came on the earth, they clothed themselves with the elements of the earth. So if we want to try to trace these angels, we couldn't, because they clothed themselves with the elements of the earth. So if man is copper brown, they're going to come looking like man, looking like the complexion of man, whether it be copper skin, light copper skin, dark copper skin, or very fair copper skin, Caucasian type of copper skin. But nonetheless, they use the minerals, the elements of the earth to clothe themselves. Verse 5, and many did not obey the voice of the Father and are now bound by the tie of life which is in the blood. So there we have it. Here we know now that this is a genetic connection between these so-called extraterrestrial angels coming from far off heavens, came to earth to investigate and actually learn about earthly things, elemental things, because these angels died in infancy. They never learned corporeal things, for those who know the story. So these angels were tempted, they became lustful and interbred with the women. And it could have been vice versa. The angel women could have got pregnant, while the angel men is impregnating. So it could have went both ways. But the key here, it says, which is in the blood, by the tie of life which is in the blood. So the mystery to me, to connect these extraterrestrials to us, and it'll be in the blood. And when we look at blood types, you have A, B, and O blood type. You see what I'm saying?
We know that B, when we talk about primitive man, primitive hominins, primates, we dealing with AB blood types. Now, you do have rare cases of you may have O blood, but it's rare. The dominant blood type of the animal kingdom is AB, A, and B. But O is considered foreign. So to me, I classify the O blood type as the blood type of these extraterrestrials if they would have came, because they would have had no primitive connection to the earth. Now, and the voice of Jehovah came to me, saying, Synthontes, my son, behold, my Etherian heavens I have given into your charge, millions of angels, whom you have brought to the earth, and they have fallen from their high estate. Go deliver them. You know, when it talks about the fallen angels, you hear about the fallen angels? Lucifer fell with the fallen angels. Well, it's under this watch right here, Synthontes, because Synthontes is the one who brought the first angels to the earth to help man. And these are the angels that fell from where their high estate. They interbred with man, creating a genetic offshoot of man on this planet, which still exists to this day. We all share this offshoot of DNA because all of us is basically mixed up at this point. So here, you see how the Owaspi read where you have these gods that are under the commandment of the voice of Jehovah, the creator. So in the Owaspi, the voice of Jehovah is creator. So you said the voice of Jehovah came to me, Synthontes, saying. Now Synthontes is an archangel. See that? My son, behold, my Etherian heavens I have given into your charge, millions of angels whom you have brought to the earth, and they have fallen from their high estate. Go deliver them. This is what the angels say. And I said, what shall I do? Oh, and Jehovah answered and said, bring your angel host to Horeb, for there I will crown you God of these heavens and the earth for the redemption of angels and mortals. Stop right there. See that? He said, what shall I do? That was the question. After his angel slipped up and created offspring, Jehovah Synthontes like, well, what shall I do? This is what Jehovah said right here. Bring your angel host to Horeb, the heavenly plateau over the continent of Pan. For there I, Jehovah, will crown you God of these heavens and earth for the redemption of angels and mortals. Ain't that we hear from Christians about Christ? We need to be redeemed. We need to be saved. Redemption. This is the very first redemption. The very first act of redemption was for the angels who fell from their high estate because they interbred with man by bringing forth seed, bringing forth fruit. But notice in this verse, Jehovah is talking to God. Now, if there is no verse in the Bible where Jehovah says anything to the gods, or God being Jehovah, the All-Highest, is the cap in the Bible. God is the ceiling. Nobody is higher than God in the Bible. God is the most high. And that God that is the most high in the Bible is Jehovah, the angel. Contrast to this Jehovah, where this Jehovah in the Owaspi is the ever-present, not in the image of a man. But the Lord God Jehovah in the Bible is in the image of a man, and he's supposed to be supreme God of the Bible. Nobody is above him. But here we see in the Owaspi, Jehovah is above the gods. So the only way the biblical God can be true if he confess that there's a creator. The only way the biblical God can be true if he confess if there's a creator. Show me in a chapter and verse in the Bible where God confesses a creator. Let's continue on. And I said, what shall I do? And Jehovah said, bring your angel host to Horeb, for there I will crown you God of these heavens and earth for the redemption of angels and mortals. And it shall be a new heavenly kingdom from this time forward to the end of the world. For it is the time of the ark of Wan. And I will bring from Etheria my high-raised goddess Etasia, chief factor of her moots, and she shall crown you in my name, God of heaven and earth. See that? So a God is crowned in the name of Jehovah or in the name of the Creator. You remember, they say God sits on the throne. If your God sits on the throne, he got to be initiated in. The inauguration has to be demonstrated in the Bible. And then if he's initiated in, that means there are ranks higher than him. There are preceding ranks prior to him if your God sits on the throne. There is not a king that sits on the throne forever, but must give way to a successor. So here, Setantes is the first God to rule the heavens and the earth. Let's get that in synopsis of 16 cycles. Where it further explains that. Come back up right here. Now keep in mind, Setantes, we have verse 7. Setantes was an archangel, the wisest of them all, right? And keep in mind, this is when? In the beginning of the inhabitation of the earth. So this is equivalent to Genesis chapter 1, verse 1. See that? In the beginning, God created the heavens and the earth. Here we have in the OSP. In the beginning of the inhabitation of the earth, the angels of Horeb assembled. The angels of in heaven assembled in Horeb. Now notice it said in the beginning of the inhabitation of the earth. Now keep in mind, I told you that the earth goes through stages. They have an inhabitable age of the earth, an uninhabitable age of the earth. Let me see. Let me grab that real quick. First round. Right here. See that? See what it say? The time of inhabitation. See, the earth goes through 4 ages. A time of creation, a time of inhabitation, a time of barrenness, and a time of dissipation. The verse stated, in the beginning of the inhabitation of the earth, the angels of heaven assembled in Horeb. So that's what it's referencing in this age here. In the beginning of the inhabitable age. Why are the angels coming at the beginning of the inhabitable age? Because they're here to lift up man. Man was born, created on this planet to become angels and gods. That's the purpose of man on this planet. Now, coming back to synopsis of 16 cycles, it says, during a cycle, meaning an arc cycle, the earth and her heavens travel through Etherian regions of hundreds of Etherian worlds, which are inhabited by Jehovah's high-raised angels, whose chiefs are involved in the what? Management of worlds. So when Setantes came, they came to what? Come and enjoy the new world I have created. What is their job? Chief are involved in the management of worlds. So that's what Setantes came to do. The first God of the first heaven, the first God of this earth, his duty was to come, lift up man, explore, let his hosts explore since they never experienced corporality. And the purpose of it is right here. During the time of a cycle, which is 3,000 years, the earth is therefore under the control and management of such angels of Jehovah for the resurrection of man on earth. See that? At the time of the creation, at the time of man's creation, the earth was traveling in the Ark of One. See that? The Ark of One. That's the first ark cycle after the creation of man. Now there's a numbering system. Now we have a numbering system. See that? The Ark of One right here. So that's what we're talking about. And what they say, the creation of man. So when man was created, these angels came down to lift man up, right? The Holy Council of Orion chiefs, through the wisdom and voice of Jehovah, appointed one of their number, Setantes, what? An archangel. Coming back to the book of Setantes. What did it say? In the beginning, no, right here, verse 2. And the archangel Setantes was the wisest of them all. So this is who we're talking about. This is the first God of the earth, Setantes, right? An archangel. And what was his duty? to take charge of the earth and people it with immortal beings during its travel in wane. And what it look? The rank and title of Sentantes, thus raised up by Jehovah, creator of worlds, became first God of the earth and her heavens. So if we're talking about Genesis and we're talking about in the beginning, God created the heavens and the earth, the Owaspi's letting us know that there was a time when there's a succession of gods and there was a first God. There was a God that actually started this whole shit off. Just like we have the first president. You see what I'm saying? The same way we got presidencies. The president, put American presidents. American presidents, right? And if you wanted to know the American presidents, we could always go and find the presidents that reigned. So if you wanted to know who was the first president of America, we know it was what? George Washington. So George Washington was the first president, and then after him, the successions of presidents took place. The same concept is with this right here. The rank and title of Sentantes, thus raised up by Jehovah, creator of worlds, became what? The first God of the earth and her heavens. And thus becoming the first God, you'll have a second God, a third. So each one of these numbers are here are succession of gods through 3,000-year cycles. I heard somebody hop on. They must have dropped off the chair. So now, and Sentantes had come with millions of angels who had been previously raised up from other worlds, and he accomplished his works and was known as God. See that? See what the Owaspi is revealing? The Owaspi is revealing the very first God who ruled these heavens and earth would be equivalent to your biblical God. In the beginning, God created the heavens and the earth. Although we know that this biblical God is false, but they were giving you a narrative in the Bible of a beginning, which is a first. So when the Owaspi is giving you the real order of how these successions of these gods took place. So Sentantes was the first God. And it says Sentantes was then the first God of the earth and her heavens, and this place was within the Ark of Wan. See that? Right there, let me stop right there. And it says, and his place was in the Ark of Wan, right here. This is the Ark of Wan. What do you mean? When the earth travels every 3,000 years and come to these arcs, there are angels, high-raised angels stationed in these arc cycles. And their duty is to raise up men. Again, right here, it talks about right here. The Holy Council of Orion Chiefs. See that? So these Holy Councils of Orion Chiefs, they're stationed within these arc cycles right here, every 3,000 years. When the earth comes into these arc cycles, these Orion Chiefs, they send their archangels down to the earth to raise up men through inspiration or otherwise. So Sentantes is known as the first God of this heaven and earth, right? Now, as we demonstrated just from this little bit, dealing with the beginning, we see we have an archangel by the name of Sentantes. He's being crowned God of heaven and earth under the authority of Jehovah. And I said, what shall I do? And Jehovah said, bring your angel host to Horeb, for there I will crown you God of these heavens and the earth for the redemption of angels and mortals. And it shall be a new heavenly kingdom from this time forward to the end of the world. For it is the time of the Ark of Wan. And I will bring from Etheria my high-raised goddess Etisaya, chief factor of her moods. And she shall crown you in my name, God of heaven and earth. So the very first God was crowned by a goddess. See that? An Etherian goddess. And even the Etherian goddess is under the Creator. God said, when I had thus spoken in Horeb before the angels of heaven, a great light like a sun was seen descending from the firmament above. And I commanded my Enuers to chant in praise of the Father and his work. So them niggas seen that light started skipping and dancing. Hey, sing some praise to the Creator, boy. We don't know what that is. You see that light? Go, boy, sing some praise to the Father. Make sure he with us. Meanwhile, I had the angels of Horeb numbered, and there were 27,600,000, being the same who were on an excursion in my charge when the voice of Jehovah commanded us to visit the earth. See that? These niggas was on an excursion when Jehovah said, yo, I need you to come to the earth for a minute. Let me holler at you for a minute. There's some shit down here I need you to do. These niggas was on an excursion. And the host was 27,600,000 angels. They giving you the number of angels that manifested on this earth. And they were lightened on the earth. You remember that verse where it says that? And they were lightened on the earth? Let me get that in the book of Jehovah. And they were lightened on the earth. Right there. See that? Book of Jehovah, chapter 6:4, right there. And it says, and there alighted upon the new earth millions of angels from heaven. But many of them had never fulfilled the corporeal life, having died in infancy, and these angels did not comprehend procreation or corporeal life. Now, these are the same angels that came with Sinthantes. These are the 27 million angels that lightened upon the new earth that they're referring to right here. When it states, meanwhile, and I had the angels of Horeb numbered, and there were 27,600,000, being the same who were on an excursion in my charge, when the voice of Jehovah commanded us to what? Visit the earth. Coming back to over here. There alightened upon the new earth, the visitors, the ancient astronauts, millions of angels. We already got the number. It's 27,600,000. So basically, there lightened upon the new earth 27,600,000 angels from heaven. But many of them had never fulfilled a corporeal life, having died in infancy, and these angels did not comprehend procreation of corporeal life. So they're letting you know the conditions of the angels. They're letting you know how many angels. They're letting you know that there's an installation of a God to sustain, control, ruler, to be ruler of heaven and earth. Manage this, basically manage the kingdom of heaven and earth. See, Owaspe's cutting it dry. So you don't be confused that when it says in the beginning, God, you thinking a deity floating in space is creating the heavens and the earth. When this narrative essentially is false. See that? The narrative. Now let's get into that. Let's get into the Bible. Make sure y'all still there, rocking out. Let's get into the Bible. So we showed that a God basically is a ruler, an archangel, an Etherian angel. All these are just high-ranking titles bestowed on the one individual. You could be a supervisor at McDonald's. You could be a supervisor at Kentucky Fried Chicken, and you could be a supervisor at Wendy's. You hold three titles, but you one person. It's the same thing with these angels. The higher they rise, the more ranking title they put upon themselves through the experience that they go through. So now, in the beginning, God created the heavens and the earth. So cosmonauts always say, how? And actually, they do break down how, but it's just false. If it ain't true, it's false. There is no in-between. There ain't no in-between between true and false. If it ain't true, it's false. If it ain't false, it must have some truth to it. So, in the beginning, God created the heavens and the earth. Like Cosmo say, how? It says, and the earth was without form and void, and darkness was upon the face of the deep. So, let's stop right there. In the beginning, God created the heavens and the earth, right? But the very next verse says, and the earth was without form and void, and darkness was upon the face of the deep. Now, I told you before, the earth goes through 4 ages. A time of creation, a time of inhabitation, a time of barrenness, and a time of dissipation. Right? And according to Genesis, the earth is without form, void, darkness was upon the face of the deep. So that means the earth was in a state of barrenness, a state of inhabitation, a state of barrenness, and a state of dissipation. Right? And according to Genesis, the earth is without form, void, darkness was upon the face of the deep. So that means the earth was in a state of barrenness, a state of inhabitation, a state of barrenness, and a state of dissipation. So Definitely wasn't a state of time of creation because it's not a ball of fire. It's mentioning darkness. Dissipation is when it explodes. So we're dealing with a time of barrenness, where it's formless and void, no inhabitable life. And then it says, the Spirit of God moved upon the face of the waters. Now, the Spirit of God, let's go to the concordance. They say God is a spirit, but then you have the Spirit of God. If God is a spirit, there is no reason for a of. That's another argument. So God, the Spirit, ruach, which means the breath, the wind, right? Of God. Who is God? Elohim. Plurality, angels. See that? See that? So what is this really saying? And the spirit of the angel moved upon the face of the waters. See that? Don't that make sense? God is sitting on the throne. If they, for those who believe God sat on the throne, created the heavens and the earth, there it is. Or if you believe Jesus created the heavens and the earth, there it is. And the spirit of an angel, or the spirit of the angels, moved upon the face of the deep, the face of the waters. And then God said, let there be light. And there was light. Now, see, the thing with this is that this is very vague. How is light generated and produced? That's the question. How is light generated and produced? Book of Jehovah, chapter 4, verse 15. First as vapor, the vortex carry it forth, and as it condenses and its friction engenders heat, and it is molten, becoming as what? A globe of fire in heaven. Then it takes its place as a new world. So look, in order to have light, this is the process. First as vapor, the vortex carry it forth. So this is the process of the vortex carrying the minerals to the center, condensing, creating friction, heat, warmth, light. Light is produced by vortexy current. But God said, let there be light. That's vague. You know why? Because you got a nigga floating in space saying, let there be light. Why? Because God is an angel. He's an angel. He's an angel. There it is again. He's referred to as an angel. Any more places where God is referred to as an angel? And this is in Genesis. This is why a lot of niggas going to try to start running from the Strong's Concordance, because the Strong's Concordance is the one who's telling you that your God is an angel. James Strong's is telling you your God is an angel. Y'all hate the white man. Y'all talk about Esau. But James Strong, this guy right here, James Strong is the one who is telling you your God is an angel. See that? When we go here, when we go to Genesis, in the beginning, God, and we click God, and you see all this stuff right here, all this right here, all these concordance and references, God is being an angel. Boom. There go your man right there. James Strong's. Y'all hate Esau so much, but y'all run to the Strong's Concordance. That's why a lot of niggas trying to run from the concordance, but you can't run from it because no matter what etymology you're going to go to, it's going to revert back to the same shit. See that? Look at this. Look what it say right here. For the concordance, Strong numbered every Hebrew or Greek root word which is found for ease of reference. See that? For the concordance, was the Strong's Concordance, this right here. See what it says? See that? The KJV Strong translation Strong's. See that Strong's? See when you niggas come up here and click Strong's up here? The blue letter Bible. Let's go to the blue letter. They go to the blue letter. See where it says Strong's? That's Strong's. When you click on Strong's, and they give you all these definitions. Huh? What it say? For the concordance, James Strong's numbered every Hebrew or Greek root word, which was found for ease of reference. So he gave you the definition of every Greek and Hebrew word in this Strong's Concordance in return in your creation story. In return, letting you niggas know that God is an angel. Right there. So now, is this angel true or false? Because this angel is claiming to create the heavens and the earth in a period of 6 days or 6,000 years. Can that be true? Now, in the book of Jehovah, look at the difference. Man looked upward in prayer. This is the book of Jehovah 3:2, desiring to know the way of all created things, both on earth and in heaven. And Jehovah answered him, saying, so here's a question. The question is, desiring to know what? The way of all created things, both on earth and in heaven. So how are things created? Now keep in mind, in Genesis, in the beginning, God created the heavens and the earth. But if you're going to read this in Hebrew, it's going to say Elohim, angels, right? Jehovah answered, I made the whirlwind as a sign of my created worlds. So now, in the beginning, God created the heavens and the earth. But where is the example of this? What is the proof of how you create? Owaspi gives you an example, an objective example of the whirlwind as a sign of my created worlds. The whirlwind I made as a sign to man of the way of my created worlds. As you see the power of the whirlwind gathering up dust of the earth and driving it together, know that likewise I bring together the Jaya, the Ajah, and the nebula in the firmament of heaven. And by the power of the whirlwind, I created the corporeal sun, moon, and stars. Stop right there. By the power of the whirlwind, I created the sun, moon, and stars. See that? But when we come to the creation of the stars, which is supposed to be on the 4th day over here, look what he's saying. God said, let there be lights in the firmament of heaven to divide the day from the night. And let them be for signs and for seasons and for days and years. See, in this verse, now keep in mind, this is not the creator. This is a deity speaking things into existence. You have to keep that in mind. So you have to understand that the projection, let me just get an example of a person floating in space. You know what? No, I ain't even got to go there. I'll go to the actual. Go to the hold on. Right? Let me come here. Let me come to their concept, how they see it. Let's see it right here. Oh, that ain't it. Hold tight, hold tight. Whatever else we had. I'll find it later, but nonetheless. None the blood clot less. When Jehovah created the sun, moon, and stars, the whirlwind is a prime example of how they created. Right? By the power of rotation, swift driving at the periphery, I condense the atmospheric worlds that float in the firmament, and these become my corporeal worlds. And in the midst of the vortices, I made them. And by the power of the vortices, I turned them on their axis and carried them in the orbits. I allude to them wider than to the moon of a planet. I have created the vortices that carry the moon also. There's some examples of these things in the Owaspy. But you see how the Owaspy gives you tangible things to test? Like, yo, I gave you the whirlwind as a sign of my created worlds. But when you come here to Genesis and it says, God said, let there be lights in the firmament, we got a problem. Because in the beginning, God said, let there be light. The only light we have in the firmament is the sun, moon, and stars. There is no other light outside of that. But nonetheless, you have this God in the Bible, this angel, creating the heavens and the earth in 6 days, 6,000 years. Even if they want to say 6,000 years, they can have that, right? But then it states that on the fourth day, they created the sun, moon, and stars. So how can this biblical God be true if he can't get his creation in order? At least the Owaspy lets us know that the sun is the solar energy, then the planets. The planets are subjected to the solar energy, not the other way around. Not the other way around. So now, let's go to Acts. Go to Acts 7:38, right? And we still got the Strong's Concordance in the New Testament with the Greek definitions. Because you remember, Strong gave you what? He gave you what? What did he give you? For the concordance, Strong's numbered every Hebrew or Greek root word which was found for ease of reference. So well, guess what? He gave you the Greek definition. So when we go to the verse 738 in the New Testament, this is he that was in the church in the wilderness with the angel which spoke to him in Mount Sinai. You click angel, angelos, angel, messenger. Messenger. God is a messenger. What? What does it say? A messenger, envoy, one who was sent, an angel, a messenger from God. But also, the messenger could be God himself, as in this instance. Angelos derived from G71, to bring tidings, a messenger, especially an angel. See that? See that? God is an angel, yo. Came to him in Mount Sinai and he. Click that, see what reference that is. No reference. But again, angel. Then we go to verse 58 in the concordance. 53, I mean. Who have received the law by the disposition of angels. Who received the law by the disposition of angels? Again, angelos, messenger. A messenger. See that? Your God is a messenger, according to the Bible. According to the Bible, God is a messenger. See that? What was the message What was the message that God brought? And he gave unto Moses, when he had an end of communion with him upon Mount Sinai, 2 tablets of testimony. There you go right there. There go the message right there. There go the message right there. Boom. 2 tables of testimony, tables of stone. That's the message. What are on those? What are on those stones? Laws, statutes, and commandments for you niggas to get it right. Written with what? The finger of God. Who is God? The goddamn angel. Nigga. Nope. Angel. But the question is this a true God? Now, how do we differentiate from a true God from a false God? How do we do that? Can a God break his own commandments? And God say, thou shalt not murder and kill? And then he indulged in the killing? Is that righteous? Do we need to go to Judges and see if this biblical God say who he is? Do we need to go to Joseph and the boys? Genesis chapter 17, verse 8. And I will give unto thee and to thy seed after thee the land wherein thou art a stranger, all the land of Canaan for an everlasting possession, and I will be their God. God promised the Israelites the land of Canaan. Right? That's what he promised them, the land of Canaan. For an everlasting possession. And on this land, so ye shall not pollute the land, this land, wherein ye are. For blood it defiles the land. And the land cannot be cleansed of the blood that is shed therein, but by the blood of him that sheds it. So here, the first catcher is here. So ye shall not pollute the land. That's it, nigga. Pollute the land with blood. Don't do that. God said don't do that. God like, nah, son, don't do that. Exodus 21, God spoke, the angel spoke, Jehovah Elohim spoke, or better yet, Jehovah El spoke, all these words saying, thou shalt not kill, unto the house of Israel. Now, a true God is one who keeps his word. A true God is one whose word is his bond. If I tell you, nigga, don't kill, that's my word. I got to uphold that as being truthful. I got to be truthful to that. But then God switches his mind, right? God has a change of heart. God said he changes not. Where is it? Let's get on this biblical God ass now. I'm going to show plenty of things from the Owaski that coincide and make plenty sense. But God say he changes not. Right? Malachi 3:6. Malachi 3:6. For I am the Lord, I change not. Right? God spoke all these words, saying, thou shalt not kill. Thus saith the Lord of hosts. Jump down. Now go and smite Amalek, utterly destroy all that they have. Spare them not, but slay both man and woman, infant and suckling, ox and sheep, camel and ass. God, who said in Malachi 3:6, for I am the Lord, I change not, has changed his mind and his commandments for the house of Israel. He told the house of Israel, thou shalt not kill. Speaking to the house of Israel. Then later on, he tells the house of Israel to utterly destroy, spare them, slay them. Is that being truthful or is that being false? If God say he changes not, and that's his word, why is he changing now to tell the Israelites to kill off the Canaanite descendants? And then, to make matters worse, God is doing it to his own people. And the children of Benjamin came forth out of Gibeah and destroyed down to the ground of the Israelites that day 2,020 men. This was inspired by God. The very same God that told the Benjamites, that told the house of Israel, thou shalt not murder and kill, is now telling the house of Benjamin and the house of Israel, kill, 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 slay one another, murder. And the children of Israel went up and wept before the Lord unto evening, and asked counsel of the Lord, saying, shall I go up again to battle against the children of Benjamin, my brother? And the Lord said, yes. And the Lord said, go up against them. Precept contradiction, thou shalt not kill. See that? How can the biblical God be true when now he's not only going against the enemy, which was the Amalekites, now he's going against the children of Israel. So that the Lord got the children of Israel killing off the Canaanites, killing off themselves, but he stated in the beginning, thou shalt not kill. Why is the Lord switching his mind and engaging in mortal blood? This makes the law none and void. The lake of fire, the Lord gonna be there too. The Lord is gonna be in the lake of fire with you niggas, because he broke his own commandments. See that? So who you really following? Could this be Satan? What does Satan mean in the Bible? What does Satan mean? What does Satan mean? And Satan stood up against Israel and provoked David to number Israel. David is being provoked by Satan instead of God. And y'all know that other verse where it says the Lord provoked to number David? Is the Lord Satan? What does Satan mean? Satan. What does Satan mean? Adversary. Adversary. One who withstands. Adversary. Let's be clear. What's an adversary? One's opponent in contest, conflict, or dispute. And that's exactly what we see with the scriptures. That's exactly what we see here. Because you have the Lord, you have the children of Israel, and the Judges 20, chapter 23, And the children of Israel went up and wept before the Lord unto evening, and asked counsel of the Lord, saying, shall I go up to battle against the children of Benjamin, my brother? And the Lord said, go up against him. Precept contradiction, Exodus chapter 20, verse 13, thou shalt not kill. These are the commandments the Lord gave to Moses to give to the children of Israel on what not to do, meaning thou shalt not kill. But here now we have the Lord going against his own word. What is an adversary again? One's opponent in a contest, a conflict or dispute. Huh? This is a conflict we're dealing with here. An adversary is one who brings conflict. What does Satan mean? Adversary. What does adversary mean? Conflict, to dispute. Opponent. This nigga is what? Lying. He's in conflict. So the children are asked. The children are in conflict right here. And the children of Israel, they're in conflict because they wept. They're weeping. And the children of Israel went up and wept. They're in conflict. They don't know what to do. And your God said, go up against and do battle. And they did exactly that. And this day, 18,000 men died and destroyed down to the ground the children of Israel. Again, 18,000 men all drew the sword. This is in Judges. See that? Second day of battle, 18,000 men died. And then look. This is Judges 20:26. Then all the children of Israel and all the people went up and came unto the house of God and wept and sat there before the Lord. See that? And fasted that day unto evening and offered burnt offerings and peace offerings before the Lord. This is what's going on. Is this Lord God Satan? Because he's in conflict. The children of Israel are in conflict with one another. They're opposing one another. They're being adversaries to one another. They're disputing among another. They're doing devilish things to each other. And the Lord is engaging in the madness. Is the biblical God true? How do we distinguish this behavior of the Lord God telling the Israelites to kill each other off from Satan? You're not trying to tell me that this is not demonic, satanic, this behavior? For I spoke not unto your fathers, nor commanded them in the day that I brought them out of the land of Egypt concerning burnt offerings and sacrifice. Another contradiction. Here is saying that I didn't tell you to do that. Now the Lord is telling you to go. Give me your burnt offering and a peace offering. You know what's entailed in that. And the Lord smote Benjamin before Israel. See that? The Lord himself smote. Let's get that in the concordance. The Lord himself now is doing the killing. This nigga done hopped off the throne, ran down on the mountaintop, coming down with the sword out, slaying niggas. That's what the Lord is doing now. Running down from the mountaintop, slaying niggas. Can you imagine the Lord running down Mount Sinai, coming to slay the Israelites for the golden calf? One nigga coming down off the mountain, slaying thousands of niggas. One swipe of the sword, just take off the head of 10,000 men with one swing. That's crazy. Look at that. And the Lord smote Benjamin before Israel. Black on black crime. And their God is black. So look at that. You got the chosen people being punished by their God. The Lord smote Benjamin. Smote? What does smote mean? Nagaf. What does it mean? To smitten down, plague, hurt, slain. See that? To strike. That's what God out here doing, striking niggas, man. The nigga came down out the holy seat. Because you remember Tazariak said the God sits on the throne. So in order for the Lord to smite Benjamin, he had to get close to Benjamin. He had to get off the throne, fly down to the earth, draw his sword, and engage in battle. Like the movie 300, when the niggas engaging in battle, that's the Lord engaging in battle. Let me get that. Movie 300, when they engaging in battle. You remember that fighting scene in 300? Right here. Come on, family. Give me a one in the chat if y'all getting this understanding. Yo, we clowning. You know how we do, family. It's a blood clot vibe. Clock vibes, family. Who wanna hop on? Who wanna hop on and talk shit with your boy? Come on and talk. Let me know if you believe that the biblical God is true or false. You know what I mean? That was just a little freestyle, nothing tough. That was lightweight. Thumb up that video. Yeah, hit them thumbs up. Get them thumbs up. We gonna hop on. Matter of fact, put in the chat. If you think the biblical God is true or false, put it in the chat. If you think the biblical God is true, put true. If you think the biblical God is false, put false in the chat. Booyah! That'll let us know right there. My brother, where's that big man?
What up, though? What up, though? Love, light, and balance out there to all the faiths, man. Another dope lesson, bro. You dig what I'm talking about?
Let me ask you, Cosmo. Is the biblical God true or false?
Okay, see that depends on how you actually look at it. Now,
wait on him. Go in. Give him the levels to this shit, because there's levels to this shit.
Right. Now, hey, turn the music down a little bit.
Got you. I took it off.
All right. Now, okay. Now, if they are asking, did this thing happen? Right? Is it in fact true? Is his works true? Yes. He created that Bible. He inspired people to all that bloodshed, war, and the deaths of multi-billions of people. Yes, that is absolutely real. You dig what I'm talking about? Did he do the demonic works that he say he did? For the most part, yes. You dig what I'm talking about? So in that effect, how could it not be real? We see all these churches on every corner. How could it not be real when we got charlatans like Creflo Dollar and Joel Osteen and the 700 Club, and you dig what I'm talking about? Oh yeah, it's all too real. You dig what I'm talking about? Chattel slavery, You know what I mean? Indenturement. These are doctrine of discovery. Dumb diverses. These are all things that are absolutely real in the world and that affect our people, especially negatively. So in that sense, oh yeah, this God is all too real. But is he true God? Absolutely not. Absolutely not. As a matter of fact, he do everything the opposite of what a true God would do. Right?
Exactly.
True God don't make planets, or he don't put life on planets. I say that. He don't put life on planets. This God said he did. True God never, ever, ever wants to be worshiped or asks to be worshiped. Your God does. True God is not jealous, peevish, upset, emotional, irrational. Your God is. True God never killed nobody. Your God did. You see what I'm saying? So in actuality, the biblical God does the reverse of what every true God actually does.
Would you consider the biblical God Satan?
No.
Elaborate. Elaborate.
Because I can't act like I don't know what Satan means. Satan literally means self. So you are Satan. Every time you acquiesce to your lower life, you are Satan. Every time you acquiesce to your higher life, you are a step closer to the Godhead. You dig what I'm talking about? So no, Satan is and with that understanding that Satan literally and you can apply this for any of the Hebrew niggas who out there stumbling over the blocks right now talking about well Satan means adversary. Well, I would like to ask you this question. Who is or the adversary, enemy, combatant? Who is your greatest adversary? Your greatest adversary is yourself. Hence, Shaitan, your greatest adversary, still goes back to self. You dig what I'm talking about? And this gives us a whole different look at the biblical text when this type of knowledge is applied. For instance, when Yeshua or Jesus was in the desert for 40 days and then said that Shaitan came to him. Now understanding, right, that this is a way of thought, the lesser light. You dig what I'm talking about? This gives it and is in every man, right? And this gives a whole different type of understanding and look at the story of Jesus in the desert for 40 days, because Satan came to him when there was nobody else around him.
Now, here's another interesting thing. Is Satan a separate entity from self?
I don't think so. I would say no. I would say no, because literally Satan is the self. But when you're talking about the self, it is that self that's based in physicality. You see what I'm saying? Because the thing that allows
you made a point earlier. You made a point earlier what kind of nipped it in the bud when you said lower self deals with, you know what I mean, that part of Satan, and higher self is dealing with your God element. So when you're more in your God element, Satan is nowhere to be found.
Facts.
So when you fall, here he come. You know what I mean? Nigga just lying dormant somewhere. You know what I'm saying?
Hey, Dig, you made a great point, right? When you broke down the 27.6 million angels that came with Sathantes.
That's cold right there.
Right. Now dig this, but to tie it up for everybody so y'all can make it make sense, is there was a man on earth already, right? That is called Adam, right? Or Asu. So the next person we see in the story is Eve. So the angelic host of Sethantis is the biblical Eve.
Right. Because like I was explaining that, like I was saying, is that what the false God did, they took some of these tales that was recorded in the libraries of heaven and switched up the narrative. So like you said, so the commandment given to them saying don't eat from the tree of knowledge was really given to the angels.
Facts.
But in order to know that, you got to read, you got to go through the book to know that. Not just read the book of Jehovah. You got to get past the book of wars against Jehovah to see how the whole shit come into place.
Facts. And it's crazy you said that, because when I got the book the very first time, I read the book of the wars against Jehovah first.
Yeah, it's hard to resist not reading that, yo. Like, it's hard to resist not reading that.
Yeah, I ain't gonna lie, because I was like, wait a minute, is this the book they talking about in the Bible that God can't find?
That's the same thing I said.
And so that was another thing that led me to this type of revelation too. You dig what I'm talking about? It was too many things in the biblical text that God couldn't do or didn't know, or he needed a man to do. And so when I read that part about I think it's in the book of Esther, where it say Jehovah asked a question. He say, have I weakened since the time of Moses?
That's when the Constantine Bible was being produced.
He say, have I weakened since the time of Moses that I need to come down here and manifest as a lowly nigga? I said, dang, this the guy I wanna deal with. Right. You dig what I'm talking about? That you know what I mean? It just made too much sense.
Exactly. Hey, bro, I'm working on that. My part of the master lecture we working on and shit.
Yeah.
Leading up to the this shit gonna be sweet, King. Leading up to
I got some stuff I want to see you too.
Because I see you went in a little bit on it the other day on the Constantine and shit with the Flavian shit. Bro, I'm bringing that bitch home, my nigga. Like the origin and the root of this whole shit with them niggas.
Oh man.
Yes, it's gonna be sweet. Of course, you're gonna see it in the Google chat when I organize it and shit. But yo,
man, it's gonna be ugly.
Hey, yo, them niggas basically, long story short, them niggas come from niggas. That's what I'm gonna say.
Already know. Already know. You know I got to be a part on Septimius Severus.
Them niggas got Persian blood, Joe. But that's what we're gonna get. I'm sure we're gonna get into it, yo. Waspy's the motherfucking revealer of this shit.
Hey, look, I see. Hey, listen, I was looking at that, and when they dropped the Carthage thing on me,
right?
I said, wait a minute, the Carthaginians are Phoenicians.
Talk to me. Talk to me. Talk to me, boy. I'm telling you. And these are the precursors of these motherfuckers we talking about. Yes, these are the precursors to the motherfucking Ptolemies. These are the precursors to your fucking Flavians.
Yep.
These niggas come out of niggas. They say Italians come from niggas. Nigga, we about to show it. I'm about to show this shit. I was doing some research, some homework on this shit today, bro. You gonna see it though. I'm gonna share with you when I join.
It's deep, bro. I've been working like crazy, but I've been putting the information together.
Guess where this shit's starting with too? I'm gonna throw a hint out. The shit's starting with the whole lineage of this shit we talk about coming down to the Flavians is starting with motherfucking Baal and Ashtaroth, the triangular war they had in Troy, my nigga. That's what I'm gonna say.
Ooh.
So you got to read the Owaski to know to be in the inside jokes that we be talking about.
Yeah, man. Yeah, man. Hey, look, as soon as you said it, I started thinking.
Yeah. Cause see, when I'm exposed, because I've been doing my homework on Homer. That nigga Homer, I've been doing my homework on this nigga. It's a lot of mysticism around this nigga. He's real peculiar because I'm thinking like, hold up, man. It's not nobody know where this nigga who his parents is. It's not too much around this nigga, but he's responsible for he's the Greek father of Greek history. But the history he's referencing, because he's 7th century BC. But the history he's referencing is older than his time period. But there's a gap between the fall of the Mycenaean Empire or civilization to the archaic Greek. And bro, when we bring that out, because the Owaski got the reason why, nigga. Yeah, I'm telling you.
Yeah, I was gonna tell you.
Keep in mind, all this is leading to where the fuck we go with Mali taking it to the 1st century and you taking it to Constantine.
Yep.
All this shit going in with it.
Yep, it sure does. Because see, they don't understand. It's not till 750 BC Homer comes out of nowhere.
Nowhere, my nigga.
And see, out of nowhere. With writing, he has a writing, an Egyptian type script, which they later on be calling linear A, linear B.
I got all that. I got all that.
The Coptic text, he comes out of nowhere. First of all, there is a fall. There was a fall that
Guess who behind that fall? Because that fall came centuries prior to him. That's why I brought up Ashtaroth and Baal.
Yeah, but look, you got to remember, even they ran from Escra. Even they ran from Escra. So you got a 400-year gap where we see the fall of the Mycenaeans, and then we go. Greek goes into a dark age. I mean, everything is wiped out.
Exactly, got all that.
Everything gets wiped out.
That's the whole Ashtaroth and Baal play right there. That's they responsible for that. I'm gonna say that. And the winner behind that war was Ashtaroth because they had better the game. Destroy, who completely eradicate each civilization. And Ashtaroth won because she was able to wipe out everybody in the motherfucking Troy.
Hey, dig this too. This might be something you want to look into because I just peeped this, right? Your boy, Xerxes, right? Before he ever even goes to Greece, right? And we know Xerxes in the Persian Empire was under the rule of Ashtaroth or Ashtaroth. Before he ever goes up against the Greeks, where we get the story of the 300 from, what does she inspire Xerxes to do? Smash Babylon. So he goes so Xerxes smashes Babylon. Guess who the god of Babylon was?
Marduk.
Oh!
That's crazy. And Marduk is the
Baal and Ashtaroth once again.
Marduk's supposed to be the nigga who created man and shit.
Yeah, they do got that. That's what it do say in the Babylonian text.
Yeah, Marduk is the nigga. And when it says God say let us make man, nigga, that's Marduk in the original Amuna Elise. Where Ezra copied it from. Ezra is responsible for compiling the New Testament. Ezra was in Babylon when he compiled the New Testament, right where the motherfucking 7-day Christian tablets is originated from. So it's not a coinky dink that Cyrus was like, you niggas gonna put some of my philosophy, because Daniel chapter 1:2-4, let me get it real quick. Daniel 1:2-4 lets you know that the Hebrews had to learn the Babylonian literature.
The Babylonian tongue is Hebrew.
That's that
so even right now, you speaking your colonizer, slave master tongue. So stop with the Hebrew stuff.
See that? Now look at this. This is Daniel chapter 1:4 to prove that they had to learn the Chaldean tongue. Children in whom was no blemish, but well favored and skillful in all wisdom and cunning in knowledge, and understanding science, and such as had ability in them to stand in the king's palace, of whom they may teach the learning and the tongue of who? The Chaldeans.
Mm-hmm.
See that?
The Magi's.
But they learned the cuneiform tongue because that's the language that that the Amuna Elish is written in. So when Ezra probably would have been versed in the cuneiform script, along with the Hebrew script,
right,
or Phoenician script.
Yeah.
But nonetheless,
I didn't hear, remember?
your God is a false God.
Amen. Amen. It's a blessing, man. It's truly a blessing, man.
Yeah, to decipher these things, man.
Yo, it's so deep. And the crazy part is when a waspy says a thing, you dig what I'm talking about? It just like nonchalantly throws it out there. Like it don't give a dang what you think about it. You know what I mean? But when you try to go look for it, it's there. You know what I mean? Historically, it's always proven empirically. And then once you get the more spiritual understanding of things, you start to see why things were named what they were. You know what I mean? And then it gives it a little different view of what's going on. You know what I mean? I was, and I was looking at this place in America, man. If y'all want to check out this a real dope place that's in South America, it's called Tranquilo, or Chankillo, Tranquillo, or Tranquillo, right? It's this. What it is what we know now is it's a massive observatory, right, to watch the stars. And it's 1.5 acres or miles square. So to give y'all how big that is, that's 726 football fields. This how big this thing is. It had walls 25 feet high with an outer wall and an inner wall that was taller than the outer wall. And then it had pyramids. And then right along this ridge, right, there were like 13 small little flat top pyramidal structures. You know what I mean? And they had steps built upside of them. And for years, they found this stuff in the 1906, 1908 or something. For years, they always thought that this place was a fortress by how it was built. You dig what I'm talking about? But then you look at it, you dig what I'm saying? There's like 5 entrances. If you was trying to protect something, you wouldn't have so many entrances so everybody can get through. Then there's 4 entrances. Then there's 3 entrances as you leave the consecutive circles. You dig what I'm talking about? So a dude with different knowledge, just a different point of view, he wasn't sure, but he looked at it from a different perspective and he just stopped. And because he said, okay, if this is a fortress, what are those 13 little things rolling up the back of this hill? So he sat there and he watched the sunrise one day. And it came up in between the little pedestals. So if basically what he found out was this was an astrological calendar that had a solar calendar, not only a solar calendar, but a lunar calendar. But you wouldn't know it was a lunar calendar unless you had something that was on top of that platform that was going to point at the moon. And that's what they think was there. You did what I'm talking about, because the sun falls in between the pedestals. The sun rises and falls in between the pedestals. So if you in the far, and it runs north and south. just like the Americas, right? And if it's in the far north, you know you in the summertime. So if it's all the way to the left, 13
See, that's what I'm saying. That's that they go that wobble, that grave, that serpent move, that serpent. So basically, he's marking out that serpent movement.
And then remember, Jaja said he created the Guatamian to love to migrate north and south. So he was orienting everything to north and south. You dig what I'm talking about? So I thought that was interesting too, how they read the calendars here, north and south. You know what I mean? Especially when you're looking at it from the west and it's rising in the east. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah, because the east and the west will be the north and the south as far as it's rising and setting. It's rising actually.
Correct. So if you're watching it if you're gonna watch it set, right, you're gonna stand in the east and look west.
Right.
Yeah. So and he figured it out.
You can measure it from the rising and the setting.
Right. And then dig this. I did a little more study, right? Because the name, you dig what I'm talking about, Tranquilo, it stuck out to me, right? For some reason. So come to find out, this site Tranquilo was built by a people called the Chanka, Chanka, the Chanka. These are described as Negroidal aboriginals who were, dig this, the Inca invaded their areas. They already had Pumapunku. They already had Tranquilo. They already had Sacsayhuaman. These was the black people who was living in Peru, in Bolivia, on the western, in the Andes. These was the people who was already there, who later on got warred, oppressed against by the Inca. You dig what I'm talking about? So even when they say these people are Aboriginal, think about it, do some more research. Don't never let somebody tell you that they was here before you. You dig what I'm talking about? Ain't no way. You dig what I'm saying? When we know y'all migrated, and many of y'all just admixed in. The Inca were primarily Mongoloidal, but they had admixture too. They was running from what was happening in North America. You got to remember, wasn't no Inca nowhere in the Americas before 1000 AD.
Yeah, that's crazy, bro.
You see what I'm saying? They didn't build one building. None of that. Oh, and then I found this out. This blew my mind. When what's his name? Was it Verrazano? No, not Verrazano. Cortez. When Cortez came to the Americas and he met Montezuma, I always was taught and thought that Montezuma was in the Caribbean, where his kingdom and all that shit was. Come to find out, Montezuma is in Mexico.
Yeah, that's what I was about to say.
Mexico.
Yeah, that shit was Mexico and shit.
Yeah, but we got to remember, California all the way up to Canada is Mexico too.
Yeah. The extension of that shit was crazy. So it probably ain't even in Mexico. We thinking like how we see it now.
It's not. They was on the West Coast. They was on the West Coast, around San Francisco, in between San Francisco and LA, right? That's where the war between with Montezuma and them happened. That was in the Pacific. Blew my mind. Blew my mind, bro.
That's
This, and then remember the Montezumans or what Owaspi explained, the Yorubans. Right? These are your so-called Aztecs. The Yorubans, the Montezumas. You dig what I'm talking about? They was all through Mexico, but then you got the other people there, right? Who modern science call Mayan, right? Now these is your Aboriginal, copper-colored, Negroidal types with long black coarse hair. These are Mayans, right?
The niggas that was sacrificing humans, eating niggas' hearts and shit.
All type of shit. You dig what I'm talking about? But that was really more the Aztecs. That was really more the Aztecs, because we come from Olmec culture that didn't do that. You dig what I'm talking about? The Mayan. Well, first of all, let's get this understood. The people that they call Maya, M-A-Y-A, Maya, and the people they call Mayans are two different people, thousands of years apart. The Ma and the Ya are the Oeklopan, or the Shi, aka the mound builders, the little people. That's the Ma and the Ya. Ma and Ya means of spirit and earth, or it also could be rendered as illusion, or the people are something or are not what they seem to be and are what they seem not to be. You see what I'm saying? An illusion.
Right.
That's Ma and Ya. These are the little people, the mound builders. You see what I'm saying? They predate the Olmecs, or what we would call the early Ahuans. Right? This is where you get your first 18 tribes of Ahuans from, your Owidu and Orankimuts, and you dig what I'm talking about, your Gichi Wawa and all them niggas. You dig what I'm talking about? You dig what I'm talking about? That's where you get all that Indian stock from.
Right.
Bred down from them Ahuans. You dig what I'm saying? So we got to understand that who they call the Maya, are not Mayan. In fact, they are Ayan, in fact, and are called historically the Shi, Xi. So and then they are the forefathers and the birth parents of the great tall people, right? They are called Ahuan. How do we know that they are called Ahuan? Right? And we see the different types of civilization pop up on the planet is pre the great megalithic buildings in America. You have mound culture, right? But that's pre-flood. So we're talking pre 22,000 years ago, right? You have great mounds and mountains that are carved out to be cities under the ground. You dig what I'm talking about? We see that everywhere in the world. People just don't know why. And now that y'all know that the people are little, this explains the small size of the structures, right? Because a grown man would have to stoop and walk in here. But an Ayan who ain't pressing no more than 4 feet tall, you dig what I'm talking about? He could run and jump in there. You know what I mean? So we got to understand a culture switch happened after the flood, right? We start to see the megalithic structures being placed upon the planet. This 24,000 years, 22,000 years ago. So what I'm saying is the flood happened 22,553 BC. By 20,000 BC, there was massive cities, mound cities, places like Cahokia, you dig what I'm talking about, had been abandoned and reopened again by the little people, the mound builder culture. You dig what I'm talking about? They go on to birth our ancestors, the Ahuans, right? It is indeed. This is who you call your Olmec, right? This is who they misnomer as Old Mexico, Old Mech. They are Ahuans, and they know it. They know they are called Ahuans, just like we know they call us niggas. So if we are called niggas, just somewhere in time, it makes sense that we're gonna have a nigga town. It's gonna be some nigga shoes. You dig what I'm talking about? We're gonna have a God city of niggas. This is what I'm saying that the Olmecs did also. They knew who they were. So they labeled their cities after themselves. To prove the Olmec are Ahua, all you got to do is look at the city names. So let's look at the city or the pyramid of the sun, right? In Mexico, right where they say, first of all, the Mayans are called the Aliatis, just like the Aztecs are called the Yorubans. So the ancient Olmecs are called Ahuan, right? Let's prove that, right? The people are called Ahua. They built megalithic structures. Let's go look at a megalithic structure. Let's go look at Teotihuacan. Teotihuacan. How you spell Ahuan? I-H-U-A-N. Hua. Ahua. Everywhere in the world you see this megalithic structures in America, you're gonna find the Ahua found. Look at the name. Look.
Ain't nobody talking about this.
Right. You ain't, because you didn't know. You don't know your ancient ancestors. And then look, this is the whole this is where you get your man is God concept from. Also, your titans against the God concepts. See, the Ahua were the very large, gigantic men, but they had longer arms than they had legs. Right? This is the Ahua, the giant. He was massive too. They say, didn't they say Zarathustra, right? Who was a step down from that, right? He a step down. You dig what I'm saying? They say that nigga was about 18 to 22 feet tall.
You said he was the size of 3 ordinary men. Let's just say 5 feet. That's 15 feet.
So that means you not only 15 feet tall, gangly, you all proportioned. You dig what I'm talking about? So you roughly, let's just say 1,200, 1,400 pounds.
Right.
You dig what I'm talking about? You massive. You can move like the wind. You like a man, scaled up. You dig what I'm saying? So I'm saying, and then they were small to the early first Ahuans.
Right.
So everywhere that the Ahua was, right, they left their name, right? What about let's go to South America, right? To show you that the people down there. What about Sacsayhuaman? Right? Now, in the word sexy, right? If you move that Y, right, instead and say sexa, and move the Y a little bit to the right. Don't, and many times, don't worry about the spelling. Sound it out. Because remember, there was a time we all spoke the same language, and that language that we spoke is Phoenician, right? So Phoenician means we write it how we gonna all say the same virtual sounds, right? But we write it how we want to write it. That's all Phoenician is.
Right.
You dig what I'm saying? So and so when you starting off with 3 languages, you dig what I'm talking about? The ancient Shemitic language, the ancient language out of Yaphet. You dig what I'm talking about? And this confused language out of Persia. You dig what I'm talking about? These people take that shit, go a little bit more west, land up in Ham. This is 10,000 plus BC. This 3,000 plus years before there was a Zarathustra.
Exactly. It's the Osirian cycle.
This the Osirian cycle. As a matter of fact, it should be the cycle of Thor, because he gave that first paleo writing down. So that would be 13,000 BC.
And then to take it even further, the very first Ark cycle when the Lord came down and gave him the Samoan language.
Come on, man. And then he gave him something else at the very first time of civilization. That's 50,000 years ago. They said basically, we read no WASP, but when you in that synopsis of 16 cycles, that's a dope book, bro.
Yeah.
Because
that shows you how much we don't know.
Right. We don't know shit. Let's just get that out the way. You dig what I'm talking about? We don't really know nothing. And but it gives us a glimpse into it. And basically what they saying is, in this quote unquote early golden age of civilization, they had everything we got now.
Case in point.
Everything. So I'm wondering, like, dude, did they have planes? You know what I mean?
But they definitely was still in the ocean. They definitely had telescopes. You know what I mean?
They definitely had writing, math, geometry, astrology. They had all the stuff that it would, all the stuff it would take to build a hot society.
Right. Right.
My thing is this, right? Like stories like what's that movie with the hobbits?
Lord of the Rings, that's pre-Diluvian shit. That's what I be telling niggas. That Lord of the Rings, that's like pre-Diluvian times. That's like pre-Pan.
Yeah, you dig what I'm talking about? Because they got the elves in there.
Right.
You dig what I'm talking about?
Midget mouth, the Ions.
You got the Ions, little bitty people. You got the giants.
The you know what I mean? The monster-sites, the yaks, all those precursors was still lingering through the DNA of men.
Right. So would like a orc be a monster-site?
Yeah.
A monstrosity?
Even in the movie 300, that little monster-looking creature thing that got mad at Leonidas because he couldn't join him in battle and he threw a seal down.
Hey, but did you see in that same thing? Remember when he went and sold out the Xerxes? Remember they had they went into Xerxes' little palace, little get up, right?
Right.
Do you remember they had a dancing goat?
Yeah, they had a Baphomet in there, sure enough.
Yeah,
they
bro,
had
that was
fucking ball in that motherfucker. That's the goat. You was talking about the bull, my nigga. That's all.
That's the bull, bro. And look, Marduk. Remember the problem that they had with Marduk was that the time of Aries was sneaking up on these niggas. And he was saying, by rule of the stars, Marduk, aka Baal, that the time of the ram was coming in. And that sentence that he was supposed to be the ruler of heaven and earth at that time, per the Sumerian Storage Lost Book of Enki. You dig what I'm talking about? He takes it up by the stars. Because to what people don't know is remember they had they went from Leo, right? And then it was Taurus. But Taurus is shortened in the sky, right? The bull is shortened in the sky, and Aries, the ram, starts a little early. You did what I'm talking about in the cosmological order of what do they call that? Moon cycles and shit. You did what I'm talking about, or the astrological cycle. They say it's like 2,160 years long. Well, in what's funny is in the Arc of Spita, the shortest arc, right? We see a shortening in the tie between the ram and the bull, which would be Osir and Baal. You see what I'm saying? And then we seen that switch at the end of the Arc of Spita when Osiris goes to hell and Baal assumes his titles and names. You see what I'm saying? So we see the switch in the switch in the stars is what Marduk, aka Baal, said he assumed authority on. Remember that was a big problem in the story of Enki?
Right.
Yeah, so you dig what I'm talking about? What we seeing is that shit is playing out astrologically.
Yeah, exactly. The behavior of the arc cycles or the cycles. The rise and fall of nations within a 3,000 years or cycle.
Crazy, man.
And we right in cahoots. We right in cahoots with this shit. You know what I mean?
And then Owaspi break down that this is dope right here. I didn't know this at first. That all the stories you hear about Hercules, right? Just like Noah, do not correlate to a man. They correlate to a time, which is the time that Leo or the sun was in Leo, right? We go back and look when the sun was in Leo, that shit lead, it's the Ark of Lu.
Some of us are. Sorry.
No. It's going into that time, but I'm talking about the Ark of Lu with Fragapati. That was the time. That was, with Zarathustra, yeah, with Fragapati. That is when the 7,000 BC to 4,000 BC. That is the time when the sun was in Leo. So
and
your stories you get about
you have Os and the Sun King.
Mm-hmm.
See that? The Sun King and the Sun Kingdom and the satellite system, all that came out of that time period. Then, if that's the case, that's crazy.
That's crazy. That's crazy. How do you see? This is what I'm saying. Owaspi be dropping these little jewels. Like if you start to scratch this stuff, man, you find this a whole nother world behind this stuff you never even thought was there.
Yeah, yo, that shit is. But even when you look at that with Persia, like Persia was the first Sun King, but then we see that dominantly in Egypt. But prior to that,
the first Sun Kings. Persia was the first Sun Kings.
Who that?
I said, was Persia the first Sun Kings, or was it Japhet was the first Sun Kings?
Well, as far as the knowledge of astronomy,
Oh
it was
yeah,
Japheth and it was Japheth and the Shepherd Kings, and the Shepherd Kings
yeah,
was dynamic in that. But by the time of Zarathustra in Persia, you had the Sun King. The
facts.
Sun Kingdom system already set up prior to Egypt with Osiris Sun system, the Sun Kingdom.
Oh, way prior to Egypt.
But a lot
Way
of
prior
people
to
think
Egypt.
that Egypt is the beginning of all this shit, but I know they got cycles. I'm talking about thousands of years, and that shows you how great the destruction was of the false gods in that battle of 1,000 years. How they basically decimated all the previous history for us, where we can't even trace no more history back after 4,000 BC.
The crazy part is we hear them stories in like the Mahabharata, the Ramayana.
Right.
You dig what I'm talking about even the Persian stories give us these great shit. Even the Greeks got the Titanomachy in there. You basically the Ahuans against the Angui types.
Right.
Because
it's interesting with the Indian text though, because in the Book of Wars, them niggas was decimating. Them niggas was going in, Tian and Sudga. Them niggas were over there destroying shit. So when you read about these high advanced ships in the atmosphere doing all this destruction, these niggas was probably partaking in the battle themselves. Like the Lord came down to smoke Benjamin.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? The Muhammad would be the ancient, the Sanskrit would be an example of that.
Yep. Listen, I've been looking at this stuff for a long time, man. It's astounding. Right. You dig what I'm talking about? Just to read it, it's mind-boggling just to read it alone. But then when you get confirmation from a source like a WASPy that it don't got nothing to do with it, you dig what I'm talking about? It's all the way left to it. It's not endorsing it, or you dig what I'm talking about? It's just laying it out there.
Right.
You know what I mean? And we see that they had technology. Listen, they had technology in I forget which book that is.
Look, I'm about to pull this. You can see the screen.
Not yet. Oh, yeah, okay.
Look, I pulled it up though. How you pronounce it?
The Vimana.
Yeah, the Vimana. What does it say? The Vimana, a mythical flying palace or chariots described in Hindu text and Sanskrit epic.
Yep.
The Pashapka, how you pronounce the Vimana of Ravana,
who
took it from Kabura.
Better.
Rama returned it to Kabura is the most quoted example of the Vimana.
Now there's a I did some research too that they trying to tie the Rama of the Vedic scriptures to the founder of Rome or Roma. Remember, it's Roma. Now remember, Rama, the name just means power. Now the crazy part is in this story, they're trying to say that Rama from the Indian Vedic text is also Remus and the Remus Romulus who founded Rome, but they also say he is Nimrod. And they explain Rama as a giant king. You dig what I'm talking about? In the Ramayana, they explain Rama as a giant man, a king. You dig what I'm talking about? He could die and everything. You know what I mean? So I thought that was deep as a connection too. Because I love giants, bro. That's one of my things. Giants and little people.
Right.
You know, I like the little people. I like the mound builders, but I love them giants because you dig what I'm talking about. It's hard for their stories not to stand out.
Right. Facts.
It's hard for their stories.
And it shows you how strange the history is, how peculiar the history is of man on this planet is. You got midget motherfuckers, 3 feet motherfuckers, and you got these tall 15, 20 feet giant motherfuckers. You know what I'm saying? And then you got monstrosites, yaks.
What the hell is a monster? Now, I always listen. Now, my thing is, the monstrosities, are those like all the myths we've heard of, like the Hydra, Cerberus, the Minotaur, and dragons? Are these the monstrosities they speaking of?
Man, they say these motherfuckers is a mixture between man and beast, yo.
Damn. So that would be like the Minotaur, right?
You said
like
the Minotaur?
Yeah, like the Minotaur, like the half bull, half man.
Oh, yeah. That's some pre-Diluvian legends and shit. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, like I'm saying, like could a mermaid be a monstrosity?
I mean, I wouldn't put nothing past the shit these days. They don't. You know what I mean?
Yeah, you dig what I'm talking about? Cause what I've been finding out is everything that they told us was fake is real. And everything that they told us was real is fake. This is what I've been finding, bro. I can't just to put it plainly. You dig what I'm talking about? Just to put it plainly, this is what I've been finding, bro. And I question everything now.
Right, exactly.
You know what I mean? I question everything. Man, this is crazy. So maybe I need to do a little build on the monstrosities. You dig what I'm talking about?
Yeah, that'd be a good one. I found the verse. That'd be a good one too, right there, bro. Pull up all the pictures. So
yeah, look, bro, all this legendary shit. And you know, I got some text for that ass.
I already know.
I got some text for that ass, some shit that I haven't even brought out yet.
Look at this. In those days, the relative proportion of the races of men were Ions, 100, Ahuans, 300, Droops, 5,000, Yaks, 5,000, and of monstrosities between man and beast. See that? Right there. Let me highlight that. Monstrosities between man and beast, 3,000. So what I'm thinking is that
count them numbers up, bro. What's the adding up them numbers? 100, 400.
No, hold on. It's 100, 300, 5,000, 5,000. The monstrosites, 3,000. That was it. It says, but the later died each generation, for they did not have the power of procreation amongst themselves.
Oh shit! You know what I just thought of?
What's that?
Remember in the story of Gilgamesh? Remember he went and fought Humbaba, him and Enkidu? Remember Humbaba talked to that nigga. Humbaba said, "Dog, why you over here fucking with me, cuz?"
Hey, look,
I ain't did nothing to you, Gilgamesh, man. You and your homeboy over here tripping.
I put on monstrosities and this shit came up and shit.
It's a mix between what they say,
man and beast.
Man and beast. Now the crazy part is to have the understanding that man can mix with beast.
That's what I'm saying. But this is what I'm thinking. I'm thinking if there was males had to be having sex with these animals, and when these animals actually reproduce, it's traces of their gene coming out on it. You know what I mean? Nigga may motherfucking goat, motherfucking sheep may have a little human ear on his back or some crazy shit. You know what I mean? He may come out with a fucking human head and shit with a goat body and shit, like you said. What's the name of that shit? You said I'm about to pull it up. What's the name of that shit?
There's the centaur. That's the horse man, and then there's the minotaur. He's the bull, half man, and then there's the what do they call the half goat, half man? He's called a
Goddamn Baphomet. Nah.
Yeah, but he's got a name. It's called they call him Pan, which is funny. They call him Pan, but he's called it's on the tip of my tongue.
Yo,
It's called a. Come on, Cosmo.
Look, a faun.
A faun. Yeah, faun.
A faun is a
but they got another name for it too.
This shit is a half human, a half goat.
Yep.
Mythical creature appearing in Greek and Roman mythology. So if this is appearing in Greek mythology, this is goddamn Homer work.
Mm-hmm.
And it's somewhere Homer somewhere. But look at the image. That look like motherfucking Jeebus.
Yeah, damn, man.
Look at this mermaid right there.
Yeah, no, that's a nymph. That's the nymph that the fawn Pan caught. He caught her. She turned herself into a reed to hide from the nigga. He was chasing her, about to rape her. They're called satyrs. Look that word up. You'll see the same thing. A satyr. Satyr.
Yeah, there you go. Look at that. The satyr and the traveler. This one Super Fable and there's a number. Okay. Yeah, nigga may have to make a movie out of one of these motherfucking monster site shows.
Listen. It's so, and my thing is, I'm understanding now, man ain't even smart enough to make none of this stuff up.
Right. You think nigga just sat around and made this shit up like 1564? In the Hyrule Heights, like that.
And then they all getting their shit from Homer.
That's what I'm saying. Look at this.
Hesiod.
Now look, they say Homer was blind too. When you look at some of his when you do some of the, because they got different backgrounds on Homer.
Mm-hmm.
They say the nigga was blind too. That was part of it. But look at this, man. It's fucking Homer. This nigga came up with the Iliad and the Odyssey.
The very first writings in Europe after the Bronze Age collapse. It still don't come. It still don't come till 400 years after the Bronze Age collapse, or at the end of the Bronze Age collapse, because y'all really don't know what it is. I'm telling you exactly. The Bronze Age collapse started 1153 BC, stopped 753 BC, but the effects had been being felt since the 1200s. You dig what I'm talking about? Easily that first 50, 66, 99 years leading up to the fall of Escra, oh man, it was going down. Shit, you got the fall of Egypt in that time.
Exactly.
You did what I'm saying?
That was
the Bronze Age collapse.
Yeah, that was the second intermediate period.
Shit,
on the
after
Egyptian
that
calendar.
After that would have been the third, wouldn't it?
Well, you know what?
That's
Hold on. You said
11.
You said 1100 BC. Yeah, that would have been in the New Kingdom then.
Yep, about 1150 is when Escra started.
Yeah,
but we see it was going down at that time. Every big name you heard about. We talking about the Lacedaemonians, even the so-called Athenians, the whole Greek population. First of all, there were no Greeks before. Let's get this understood. Before Homer.
But check this though. Check this, King. This is the puzzling part that I'm coming with this Homer shit. The nigga wrote the Iliads and the Odysseys, but there is no pre-existent records of this nigga recording the shit. So I'm thinking two things. Did this nigga have an Ezra experience? Because the nigga was blind in some cases. And then in other cases, when you do the research, a lot of them are saying that they got the text from basically oral tradition. Like the nigga
No.
memorized poems or some shit.
No, you got to remember the reason and how the whole Masonic order even got up there. That's Homer and Hesiod. These are some of the very first two niggas to ever get taught reading. They got taught by the Egyptians directly. The Egyptians saved them niggas again. Hesiod got taught in Egypt. That tongue that they speak, so-called Greek, is Ethiopian. We know that where they got it from. Remember when they asked you when you were Mason, they say, what are you, a traveling man? Who was the very first one to travel across the hot burning sands?
But see, the crazy thing is, this nigga got the
But
destruction of Troy in the joint, and that's during the time of that's like the ends of the Bronze Age. So all that shit would have been destroyed. So how this nigga coming out of nowhere recapping that history?
Because
Homer specifically.
Because the story was recorded in Egypt. The story had already been there.
When I was doing the homework behind this nigga Homer, there ain't no record of this nigga going to Egypt getting them records.
Shit, that's a listen.
So even if you look at, because I've been looking at videos and everything, like, you know, where did Homer get the records from? And all of it is coming up with some bullshit, to be honest, if you ask me, because I'm like, nigga, this ain't making no sense.
Now,
you know
I'm gonna send you Homer's and Hesiod's book of histories of the world. The nigga tell you out of his mouth he went to Egypt and got it. The same place people like Solon, right, who told a story to Socrates about a place called Attalus or Atlantis or the Attoland, the land of the Atto. That's America. 10,000 years before there was a bow and arrow in America, there was the Atto in America. Look it up, ATL, Atto. This is why they call it Atalantis. This is why we got Atalanta. You dig what I'm talking about? The Atalantic. You dig what I'm talking about? Because this is the land of the Atto. Another weird connection is another weird ass connection. Now remember, so remember, Socrates is reporting a story from Solon that was told to Solon by the Egyptian adepts.
See, that's what I'm saying. Because Troy, them areas, basically Mycenae, them shits was destroyed completely. So whoever had to bear that record, and like you said, it would have had to come through the adepts.
Mm-hmm.
The story of that would have had to come through the emissaries of Ashtaroth and Baal to the Egyptians. Hey, yo, write this. This what transpired over here in Mycenae. Y'all niggas wasn't here to see it, but nigga, we caught the records. We was there. We did this shit, nigga. Here, write this down. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
For Homer to get this, because there's no way Homer would have understood that history centuries prior to him about what happened in Troy. There's no way.
Right, because Troy predates him by
Troy is the war with Ashtaroth and
Baal.
Oh,
yeah,
right.
But that's pre Archibald.
Yeah, that's the borderline. Coming like you were saying, that's basically 17th century BC to 1150 BC for the collapse.
Right. Facts. It's in that time. It's in that little 200 years you're leading up to 1553. It's right in there.
So you got a nigga in the 8th century, 7th century BC who's supposed to be blind. All the records are destroyed, but he's giving a recap of history that took place in the 17th, 16th century BC, leading on down to the collapse.
It was you got to think about it. Only one of the majors that predated the Archibald lasted through the Archibald. Only one major. That's Egypt. Everybody else came after.
Right.
You dig what I'm talking about? Egypt went into its new kingdom.
Yeah, and that was the most
15
prosperous time, really, for Egypt.
But you got to think about it. It's 400 years, then Egypt fall. Now, while everybody else is getting smashed, the whole world wide, this is what they don't understand, Selah. Many of them deserts was being finished off at this time. This is how you bury a pyramid. This is how you bury the Sphinx. This is how you bury Tiwanaku. This is how you bury Teotihuacan. Because remember, this shit was under 50, 60 feet of shit.
Not only that, even in the Americas, there was finding cities in all on the East Coast buried up to the buried in the ground and shit.
Come on, they not only in the East, all through South America. Anytime they turn the LiDAR on, you gonna find something in that jungle. Ain't gonna be nothing but pyramids and mounds. Nothing but. You dig what I'm talking about? So they don't know when our deserts was capped off, how our deserts were capped off. They don't know why they got the same exact fucking sand in the Gobi Desert as you do the goddamn Sahara Desert, as you do the Arabian Desert, as you do the deserts in America. How is it all the same stuff? The exact same chemical makeup.
Oh, nigga, if you could show a goddamn source to where the desert over here and the desert in them three places is connected with the material, that'll be killer.
Well, let me connect it to you real quick. Because our whole planet run off this 33. This is what they don't understand. They don't understand where the pyramid is lined up.
Or the 33 parallel.
Yup. And then guess what? If you go 3.3 degrees up, you dig what I'm talking about? Or up to 27.9, or as high as 36.3. Guess what that's called in the earth? Every desert in the world is in that. It's called the desert belt. Let me tie it all together for you real quick. Cosmon ain't got to make this stuff up. Science already proved it. You dig what I'm talking about? Science prove Owaspy. That's all they do. So all I just got to do is go find it. And guess what? In between those degrees, there is look up the desert belt. There is an area all over the world where every desert sits in that region and zone.
You see.
Yep.
Oh yeah, see, that's an you got a map right here. Let me pull it up. You can see
well, I'm cold with that Google Earth. I be fucking with that Google Earth.
You see it. That's signs of barrenness right there, planetary barrenness.
Now, look, you see where the top of that line is?
Hey, look at that. Look how Ja could, if he want to speed up planetary barrenness, all he got to do is just drop Aja.
Dang.
That's crazy. You just opened up a can of worms.
Now, look, hold on. But if that map keep going east or short worldwide map, all the deserts is in that same region. From the South Sahara to the top of that Gobi up there.
Yeah,
look. All the deserts in one region. It's called the desert belt.
Yeah.
But that points back to what Jaja was saying of how these motherfuckers is made in the first place. By falling, heated, nebulous material. Sand, oil, rocks, diamond, anything that makes up the earth. Hot, heated, limestone, basalt, diorite, any of the rocks. You dig what I'm talking about? Imagine them falling falling through the magnetosphere in the Van Allen belt, gaining radioactive, heated potential kinetic energy as it falls or as it's pushed towards the earth. So now you got 10 football deep. You did what I'm talking about, couple mile deep, heated volcanic material. You did what I'm talking about, falling from miles and miles and miles above the planet, hot like a motherfucker, hotter than 2 volcanoes, hitting the earth at terminal velocity. That shit hit like a megaton bomb. It wiped everything out. And depending on where it was at is what resulting rock came from it. So if it was by the water, right, it turned into sandstone and like the White Cliffs of Dover, that chalky soft rock. You dig what I'm talking about? If it stayed in the middle of the desert, it just stayed sand. You dig what I'm talking about? In some places, it heated and congealed already compounded bricks, right? That was made out of mud, and depending on what type of mud it was, turned it into what type of stone it was. How do you make rocks? You heat them and you put them under pressure. Well, how do you heat and put up under pressure a fucking pyramid? Somebody got to tell me how you bury one of them. Ain't that much sand in the goddamn desert. How you bury one of them that tall, couple 100 feet tall? How do you do it?
It's crazy because in the West we talk about when the nebula belt condensed and fallen stone and meteorite fell towards the earth as ash, molten fire, and oil and sand specifically. But then when you look at a picture of the solar system, and they got what they call the meteorite belt. When Jaja decides he want to compress that belt, there go Aja right there falling before you.
Hold on. Wait a minute. Whoa. We got that in our own Earth atmosphere.
Exactly. Facts.
We got a meteoric right in our atmosphere. We don't got to go nowhere to get that stone and them rocks and all that shit that's way out there. What they call that space out there with all that rock out there, they call it
that's
the Oort.
In the Babylonian text, people try to say that was the planet Tiamat that burst and blew up, became the meteorite belt.
Well, no, fuck no.
That's in some of the Babylonian tales.
Yeah. But it wouldn't even been that far out because it had to be by Earth. Because remember, Marduk fought Tiamat on Earth.
And then you know what? You're right, because the atmosphere of the Earth, it shows that.
We got a rocky atmosphere, just like, see that space that they call up there? They call that the Oort cloud.
It'll be in the mesosphere. The mesosphere coming from the thermosphere, the mesosphere is where Aja could rain down right here.
Come on.
Right there. There you go.
Come on, right here. This is why they can't never see comets coming. I mean, you know them little what's the one that landed in Russia? The Tunguska explosion.
Nowhere, yeah.
They don't know where they come from. They can't never trace them. They can't never track them because they're not coming from far out where you could catch it before it falls. This bitch just get pushed.
Right.
and then it builds up speed and kinetic energy, and by the time it hit the lower part of our atmosphere, you don't see it till you see it. It's too late by time it's coming down.
The invisible to the visible.
Mm-hmm.
Because even when you look at that video of it, you're looking dead at it, and it just comes out of nowhere. It comes out from out of view.
And they call that the mesosphere.
That it comes in between the mesos and the thermosphere, yeah.
Yup. And look, it's falling, gaining energy. It's gaining kinetic energy, but then it's gaining electric or magnetic vortexian energy as it's going, building heat.
Right, and warmth. And then the crazy thing is that happens when that part of the atmosphere condenses.
Mm-hmm.
When the Earth goes through that atmosphere of Aja, is a condensing atmosphere, compresses everything, pushes everything down. And
that's the warp belts, ain't it?
Well, because
they say it got them coils, and them coils get tight and squeezed in by the Ajayan pressure. And also, depending on how the Earth and where the Earth is in juxtaposition to the sun.
Right, yeah, that's hot science right there, yeah. Exactly.
Man, we don't never even be on Earth when we talk.
Niggas talking about the positioning of the great serpent while Aja's compressing this atmosphere. That's crazy.
God damn. Hey, so let me ask you this, Selah. If vortexes produce planets, right?
Mm-hmm.
And the grand vortex produces a sun, right? And we've learned that all vortexes produce atmosphere. It's just the atmosphere of the sun is lit.
Mm-hmm.
Question: are there living entities on the body of the sun?
Man. With the way Owaspy go in detail with this shit, nigga, I wouldn't put it past it, nigga. I wouldn't put it past it.
That's what I see.
If it is, they got to be Etherian angels or high-raised angels, because you know what I mean. If there is a hierarchy of a godhead on each planet,
right?
Each of those gods would be subjected within that planet. You know what I mean? But if a nigga coming from the management of solar system, these high-ranking Etherian angels that can manage solar systems, yeah, them niggas should probably go right in the center of that motherfucker and create a kingdom right in the center of that motherfucking sun. Because that's how that's maintenance. Because the sun need maintenance. That shit can't burn off that fuel forever. It may have to be reignited. I mean.
Yeah, now that's crazy that you said that. You dig what I'm talking about? Because remember,
it's burning fuel. If something's burning fuel, eventually that shit gonna run out. I don't remember, take 2 years or 1 million years, that fuel that's burning is gonna run out.
It's gonna run out. And remember, Owaspy said the diamond is the most highest thing, or concentrated carbon, that we got. They said this blew my mind. They said if the sun was made of a diamond, it would only last about 1 million years and burn out.
Yeah, exactly. Because it would be burning so much. Yeah, I think it's less than that. It wasn't even 1 million years. That shit was like 50,000 years. That shit was like 50,000, 70,000. It was within. It was definitely under 100,000 years. And I found out.
Yeah, right.
So I let you know that the sun is, and then the sun. The sun. What we seeing is deception, because when we look at the sun from sunrise, the vibrational frequency is moving slower than it is at high noon. High noon, moving faster. So we really don't have a clue of how the sun really looked, because our view of the sun is based off the vortexian wavelength.
My thing is this too. We don't even. It wouldn't even matter we can't never see the sun. We never see the body of it. We only see the shining lit atmosphere.
The photosphere, right?
Yeah, the photosphere. So we never actually see the body of the sun. We've never seen it.
The only time you really see that is at high noon. I mean at sunrise and sunset, because the photosphere is produced at high noon when the vortexian currents is moving at a faster vibrational frequency. But at evening and sunrise and sunset, those vibrational frequencies ain't moving as fast as that. So now you looking at the great ball of fire without its photosphere, because the photosphere is produced at high noon or on its rising to high noon. But then look at how big the motherfucker is, though. Look at how.
And I'm still not sure we actually see the body, because you dig what I'm talking about. Because even with a spectrometer, when you look at the sun, it gauges what's in the atmosphere to tell you what the body is made
black,
of.
Yo, that shit black. It got to be black. The reason
it got to be like Earth.
It got to because the only way for you to have a ball of fire, first you have to have something to fuel it. So that's your gas, your helium, your oxygen, your hydrogen. But then you have to have a core. The only thing that lit a fire and hold fire is carbon, like charcoal.
Yes, that's what I was about to say, bro. So could it be a perfected carbonate being who blew? And remember all them people who was coming out in the 90s that was talking about early 2000s, talking about seeing the space aliens. They said not just black like black people in America. They said they were blue black.
Yeah, exactly.
Dang, bro, that make a whole bunch of sense. And then think about this: when you burn or light any physical material on fire, it turns into pure carbon, or what they call pot ash. You did what I'm talking about. If it's a wood, it's called pot ash. But let's just say if it was like grass and dirt and earth and all that stuff would turn black.
Look, this is an example of the sun right here. Now, this is charcoal on fire. Don't that look like the sun?
Yup.
Don't that look like the sun? But in order for the fire to be fueled, you gotta have carbon.
Carbon.
You gotta have carbon. That's some of
the purest we got on the earth. So imagine you got people made out of that purest carbon form.
Exactly.
That makes so much fucking sense.
This is the same carbon that your skin is made of.
Yup.
See, look, when a carbon burn out, it becomes pale and translucent. See that?
Wow.
That should be a European.
So what if the body is actually translucent? Oh shit.
But then that's only when it's burning out.
That's only when it's burning out.
So essentially, this motherfucker looking like this right here. Now look at this picture right here. I'm gonna pull up a picture of the sun, and look how close the comparison is. Watch this.
Dang.
Now look at that. Now look at the coal of fire. Look at that.
Dang. Damn.
Look at that, bro. The sun is black.
Yo.
The sun is a nigga.
Yo.
That's crazy.
Dude, hold on. Show it again. Hold on.
The sun is black, yo.
Show that again, man.
That which is holding the sun together is a carbon rock. And that rock is the same way when we go barbecue and we take them charcoal and light that bitch on fire and we got a miniature sun. This is the objective examples right before our face creator showing us. So the same way we light this motherfucking fire, Eventually, this bitch gonna run out. This can't last forever. The same way this can't last forever.
Jay! Yeah! Listen, listen, man. Y'all can keep on missing this shit if you want to. Y'all don't get why we giggling. If you're not into this, because see, really we giggling because our minds are blown.
Right. We always validated because this shit wasn't even part of the plan. We just coming up this shit off the top of the dome and we validating everything. So we're not just saying that the sun is a ball of fire. We're saying that in order for the sun to be a ball of fire, it has to be carbon based as the mineral rock for it to have to even catch a fire to be fueled. So the same way you look at coal being burnt right here, King, and then look, it comes a point where the coal starts to what? It starts to burn out. It starts to burn out. So essentially, guess what? This bitch got to burn out unless somebody come and refuel this motherfucker. We back looking like this again. But nonetheless, that sun got a time period on it. That shit got an expiration date. And the expiration date doesn't necessarily mean dissipation. It could actually go into Simu and get ready and prepare for an inhabitable planet, which was once our sun. Going into the inhabitable age. Because the sun is a ball of fire. That's the first stage of creation. So the sun is literally a potential planet. The sun, our sun has a potential to be a planet. But once that time comes, if our sun becomes a potential planet, by that time, it'll have to be ingrided in the vortex of another central sun. That'll support our going into one sun going to a planet will have to be supported by solar energy. So it'll have to be ingrained into another vortex, which will be another sun that's a potential.
Which will be a whole nother sun.
Which is a potential star planet as well.
Wow.
It's a longer duration of time.
Wow.
The cycle, that shit has no beginning and ending, bro. That shit just morphs from a sun. That sun becomes a supporting planet. I mean, a supporting for other planets. Then that sun becomes a planet. Yo, that shit is crazy where that shit morphs. You know what I mean? Between the 4 ages.
This is crazy, bro. It's crazy. And then, you know what? I was doing some math the other day, and it blew my mind. You know that in Owaspy, you know, we got the 576,000 year garden period, right?
Right.
You know that the Kali Yuga, right, which is a 132,000 year
that's
period of time.
Right?
Huh?
That's the Indian shit.
Yeah, that's the Indian shit, the Kali Yuga.
That's nigga talk. That's the Indian shit.
Yeah. That you know what I'm talking about. Well, and them basically what they are doing is minusing the barren age or the time for dissipation. They've removed a 144,000 year period, right? Once you got that understanding and you apply that the garden understanding to the Kali Yuga, you dig what I'm talking about? It becomes true time. You dig what I'm talking about? It becomes true time. It's all it is the timetables of prophecy minus the 144,000, either the time of barrenness, or the 144,000 year time of man on the planet. So probably most likely barrenness because they're not here. So they're not counting it. You dig what I'm talking about? Which don't make it wrong, just make it folly. You dig what I'm talking about? It ain't wrong, it's just dumb. You dig what I'm talking about? It's not, you know, in a sense, sin or anything. But they almost close too. You dig what I'm saying? So y'all brothers who got that understanding of the Kali Yuga, you dig what I'm talking about? Y'all come kick it with Cosmon, Selah, Daryl, Cosmon, and And my brother Bronze Yo too. You dig what I'm talking about? Who got a great
Right.
understanding of this stuff. You dig what I'm saying?
That's right.
Y'all come on out the woodwork, man, because y'all got a piece of the puzzle too.
That's right.
You dig what I'm talking about? To our Asian brothers who over there, and I know y'all watch. I know y'all watching. I know it's difficult with how your government is set up, but if y'all can come over there and give us some of your Asian understanding and ideas and show us how OWASP fits into your life over there, it'll be a great boom for the faith that's in America. Because I know you watch because I look at my analytics.
Yeah,
I know you watch. So it's faith that's over there. They're all in the Southeast Islands. Y'all come tell us them stories. My brother George, who if you watching, my Maori brother, you dig what I'm talking about? Y'all come tell them stories. My Minahuni brothers from Hawaii, y'all come tell them stories. My Japanese folks, you dig what I'm talking about? Them our brothers too, the Japanese. The sons of Yista. You dig what I'm talking about? Or what you would call the Ainu. You dig what I'm talking about? Them ancient Negroidal types, fresh out of pond too. You dig what I'm talking about? Who go on to produce your early white folks. Ta-da! Straight out of Siberia. That come from your brother in the Yistans or the Japanese. You dig what I'm talking about? Ni hao to y'all. You dig what I'm saying? Y'all come on in, our African folks, our folks in the Caribbean. You dig what I'm talking about? All our Caribs, who they misnomering out there. Like like our Garifuna brothers and all them. You dig what I'm talking about? Arawaks. Y'all not Arawaks. There are no Arawaks. Arawak is a yam. You dig what I'm talking about? White folks named you after what you produced. Because that's all you was good for them for.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
So, hey, look, man, Selah, another dope deal, bro.
Always. You know how it is when we get on here, man. We got them go to the Mars and beyond. You know what I mean?
For sure, man. We be just touching back down, man. We don't even be on Earth.
Niggas be caught up in them vortexian stratas. You know what I mean? Speaking of the high science and shit.
Yeah, the higher light, man. The higher light, man.
Exactly. You know what I'm saying? We talk about the gods, then we take it to where the possibilities of where the shit go to. You know what I'm saying?
That's right.
The shit, man. I'm about to get up out of here, King. You know what I mean?
Yeah, man. Hey, y'all go over there to Cosmoncal TV, sub, like, share. You dig what I'm talking about? We creeping on a come up for my 100th show. I think for my 100th show, I just want to gig and party with the family. I don't want to do nothing but just talk about what y'all want to talk about. So I think we got 5 more episodes to be my 100th episode, 100th different lesson in a year. You dig what I'm talking about? And it was about this time last year I started it, like maybe October or something last year. And we creeping on the come up, y'all. So y'all come through, man. Sub, like, share.
That 100th one, man. You may have to, I've been saying this for a minute, yo. You gotta do that, the Galaxious Maximum Gods. What's the name?
Glacial Maximums and the Ice Age Gods.
Yo, you gotta revisit that, bro. You gotta revisit that. Because I think you did that when we first started this live shit.
Yeah.
Like 10 hours and shit. But I think now, if you want to revisit it, I was like, yo, that's a heavy ass fucking topic, bro. And I think you need to revisit that one for that 100th anniversary, nigga. It's good.
I'm about to get I'm about to get a computer, another computer, and I'm what I want to start doing is making like the layout vids and then have the vocals over top. You dig what I'm talking about? So
that's what I was doing when I first started. I pre-recorded and then I just upload the video. That was before the lives and all that. But when you pre-record it like that, then you can really nuzzle in and really make it basically a teaching lesson, a real teaching lesson, like some old academic.
Yeah. You could show the pictures right along with everything, right, and it's switching right as you want it to. You dig what I'm talking about?
Exactly.
So I think that'd be a good thing for me to start getting into, like editing and learning how to edit and do all that stuff. You dig what I'm saying? Because
you can drive your point home harder that way too. You know what I'm saying?
Right. That's the whole point. You know what I mean? To try to make somebody, just look at it for a second.
Right.
You know what I mean? They say, what more is a God? Selah Shalom, what more is a God?
But to learn.
Yeah. You dig what I'm talking about?
Yes, sir.
All right, man. Hey, man, love, light, peace to all the righteous gods, man, and nirvana goddesses, man. I just want y'all to breathe in. Let that light in, man. I'm Cosmoni.
Yes, sir.
And I'm out.
I'm going to see you in the chat. You know how we do.
All time.
Yes, sir. Yes, family. So, you know what I mean? Another vibes. You know how we dizzle. Bringing it to you. We touched on, you know what I mean? Some of the essence of what took place in the beginning. You know what I mean? Exposed to God as being false and not true, not keeping his word. Touched on the cosmos. You know how we do, taking it to them ethers and beyond. But we about to sign off, family. Until next time, you know how we do. Let's run the rhythm from the top. Let's run it from the top. Let's run it from the top, and we out of here, family. You know what I mean? Give me a 1 in the chat if y'all got this understanding. Peace to the family. It's the blood clot vibes. We out of here. Salute.